The envelope arrived on a Monday morning. Inside, a certified check for exactly $1 and a single sheet of legal paper. Raymond Burke, CEO of Nexus Technologies, stared at both items like they were written in a foreign language. His general counsel grabbed the letter, read it once, read it twice, then went completely pale. This can't be enforceable. What? What does it say? It's a Notice of Contract Execution, Section 14, Clause 7 of the original acquisition agreement. Speak English. The lawyer swallowed hard. The buyback clause. If the original founder is terminated without cause, she has the right to repurchase the company at the original sale price, which was $1. Raymond's coffee cup slipped from his hand, shattered on the floor. That's a $47 million company. She can't just... She can. You signed it yourself, Raymond, 8 years ago. 3 floors down, in the lobby she'd been escorted through just 72 hours earlier, Meredith Ashford was walking back in. This time, she wasn't leaving. Before I tell you how a fired founder reclaimed her $47 million company with a single dollar, if you love stories about corporate karma and women who read the fine print, hit that subscribe button and tap the like button right now. Trust me, you're going to want to see how this unfolds. My name is Meredith Ashford. I was 34 years old when I started Clarity Software Solutions in my spare bedroom. I had $3,200 in savings, a 5-year-old laptop, and an idea that everyone told me was impossible. The idea was simple: create software that helped small medical practices manage patient data without needing an IT department. Affordable, intuitive, designed for doctors who barely knew how to use email, let alone complex medical record systems. Everyone said it couldn't work. The market's saturated, my former boss told me. Epic and Cerner own healthcare software. You're wasting your time. Small practices can't afford real solutions, an investor said during one of my many failed pitch meetings. They'll just keep using paper. You're not technical enough, my ex-boyfriend offered helpfully. Maybe find a male co-founder. I ignored all of them. For 3 years, I worked 18-hour days. I taught myself to code. I cold-called medical practices until my voice gave out. I slept on an air mattress next to my desk because I couldn't afford to waste time commuting to my bedroom. And slowly, painfully slowly, Clarity started to grow. First, a pediatric clinic in Decatur, Georgia. Dr. Patricia Okonkwo took a chance on me when nobody else would. She paid $200 a month and called me personally whenever something glitched. A family practice in Marietta, then a dermatology office in Alpharetta, then a chain of urgent care centers across Metro Atlanta. By year 3, Clarity had 47 clients and $1.2 million in annual recurring revenue. I hired my first employee, a developer named Kwame Thompson, who'd been laid off from a tech startup and needed a chance as badly as I did. Then a customer service rep, then a salesperson, then another developer. By year 5, we had 31 employees, 340 clients, and $8.7 million in revenue. That's when Nexus Technologies came knocking. Nexus was a mid-sized tech conglomerate based in Boston. They owned a portfolio of software companies across different industries: finance, logistics, retail. Healthcare was their missing piece. Their CEO, Raymond Burke, flew to Atlanta personally to meet me. He was charming, polished, the kind of man who made you feel like the most important person in the room. "Meredith, what you've built is extraordinary," he said over an expensive dinner I couldn't really taste. "But you're approaching a ceiling. To reach the next level, national scale, enterprise clients, real market dominance, you need resources, infrastructure, capital." "I have investors interested." "Investors want returns. They'll push you to grow faster than your culture can handle. They'll install their own people. Eventually, they'll push you out." I knew he was right. I'd seen it happen to other founders. "What are you proposing?" "A merger. Clarity becomes part of the Nexus family. You stay on as CEO with full operational control. We provide the resources, you provide the vision." "And the terms?"
Raymond smiled. "We'll work something out." The negotiations took 4 months. I had a lawyer, a good one, named Francesca Reyes. She'd represented several founders through acquisitions and knew every trick in the book. "They want to lowball you," Francesca warned. "The initial offer will be insulting. Don't react." She was right. Nexus's first offer was $4 million, less than half our annual revenue. We countered, they countered, back and forth for weeks. Finally, we landed on $12 million. Not as much as I'd hoped, but enough to pay off my debts, reward my early employees, and set myself up for whatever came next. But Francesca wasn't done. "There's something else I want in this contract," she said during our final review session. "What?" "Protection, in case they decide you're expendable after the merger." I frowned. Raymond promised I'd stay on as CEO. Promises aren't contracts. CEOs get fired all the time, especially founders who built something from nothing. The new owners always think they know better. "So what do you suggest?" Francesca pulled out a clause she drafted herself. Section 14, Clause 7, a buyback provision. If you are terminated without cause within 10 years of the acquisition, you have the right to repurchase the company at the original sale price. The original sale price? Whatever token amount we assign to the actual company transfer, separate from the $12 million, which is compensation for your shares and goodwill. What token amount? Francesca smiled. $1. I stared at her. They'll never agree to that. They won't read it carefully enough to object. Trust me, I've buried it in 17 pages of standard protective language. Their lawyers will skim, see Founder Protection Clause, and move on. That seems risky. It's insurance. You'll probably never need it, but if you do... She left the sentence unfinished. I signed the agreement the following week. Nexus's lawyers never flagged Clause 7, and for the next 8 years, I forgot it existed. The first 2 years under Nexus were good. They kept their promises, I maintained operational control, they provided resources, better servers, expanded sales teams, access to their enterprise client network. Clarity grew. By year 2, we had 1,200 clients and $23 million in revenue. Then Raymond Burke retired. His replacement was a man named Theodore Vance, 47 years old, Harvard MBA, consulting background, the kind of executive who'd never built anything but had endless opinions about how builders should operate. Theodore and I clashed immediately. "Your customer service costs are too high," he declared during our first quarterly review. "Our customer service is why clients stay with us. Medical practices need hand-holding. Hand-holding doesn't scale. We need to automate more, reduce headcount. If we reduce headcount, we lose the personal touch that differentiates us." Theodore smiled thinly. "Meredith, I appreciate your passion, but Nexus has systems, processes, ways of doing things that work across our entire portfolio. Clarity isn't like your other companies. Healthcare is different. Healthcare is a vertical. It responds to the same efficiency principles as any other market." I knew then that I was in trouble. Over the next 3 years, Theodore systematically dismantled everything I'd built. He cut the customer service team by 40%. Response times tripled. Clients started complaining. He replaced my sales approach, relationship-based, referral-driven, with aggressive cold outreach that alienated medical professionals. He pushed feature updates that nobody asked for, while ignoring critical bug fixes that my developers had been begging to prioritize. And every time I objected, he smiled that same thin smile. "I understand your concerns, but the data supports our approach." The data was garbage, manipulated metrics designed to justify decisions that had already been made. But Theodore controlled the narrative now, and the board trusted him. By year 6, client churn had tripled. Revenue growth had stalled. The culture I'd built, collaborative, mission-driven, human, had been replaced by fear and bureaucracy. Kwame Thompson, my first employee, came to my office one afternoon. "Meredith, I can't do this anymore." "Kwame, they're destroying everything. Every shortcut, every cost cut, it's killing the product, and nobody listens." "I know, I'm trying." "Are you, though?" His words stung because they were true. I'd been trying to work within the system, playing nice, following protocols, and it was getting me nowhere. "What do you want me to do?" I asked. "Fight. Actually fight. Or walk away entirely." He shook his head. "Because this middle ground, it's killing you. I can see it." That night, I dug out my original acquisition agreement, and I found Section 14, Clause 7, the buyback clause. $1. I called Francesca Reyes the next morning. "It's still valid," Francesca confirmed after reviewing the documents. "The clause is airtight. If they terminate you without cause, you can repurchase the company at the original transfer price." $1. $1. But they won't terminate me without cause. Theodore is careful. He'll manufacture something. Francesca nodded slowly. "Then we need to make sure whatever he manufactures doesn't hold up. Document everything. Every decision you've opposed, every warning you've given, every time they've overruled your professional judgment. I've been doing that for years." "Good. Keep doing it. And," she hesitated, "consider being more visible in your opposition." "What do you mean?" "Right now, you're fighting quietly, behind closed doors. That makes it easy for them to claim you were on board with their decisions." "You want me to fight publicly?" "I want you to create a paper trail that proves you disagreed. Emails, meeting minutes, formal objections." "I understood." "They'll fire me for being difficult." "Probably, but difficult isn't cause, not legally. And when they terminate you, Clause 7 activates." Francesca smiled. "Exactly." For the next 18 months, I became the squeakiest wheel in Nexus's portfolio. I sent formal objections to every decision I disagreed with, copying legal, copying HR, copying the board. I requested meetings to discuss my concerns and documented when those meetings were denied or ignored. I commissioned independent analyses showing the correlation between Theodore's changes and declining client satisfaction. I became, in Theodore's words, a persistent obstacle to operational efficiency. He complained to the board. I was resistant to change. I was living in the past. I was unable to adapt to enterprise-level operations. The board listened. My annual review was brutal. "Meredith, we appreciate your historical contributions," the chairman said carefully, "but clarity needs leadership aligned with Nexus's strategic vision. My strategic vision built this company from nothing, and we're grateful, but the company has evolved. Perhaps it's time to consider whether your role has evolved with it." I knew what was coming. 3 weeks later, Theodore called me into his office. Theodore's corner office had the best view in the building. He'd redecorated since taking over. Gone were the collaborative workspaces and plants I'd installed. Now it was all glass and chrome and expensive artwork that screamed, "I am important." HR was there, a woman named Sandra who wouldn't meet my eyes. "Meredith, please sit down." I sat. Theodore stapled his fingers. "I'll be direct. We're making a leadership change. Your position as CEO is being eliminated effective immediately." I kept my face neutral. "I see. And the reason?" "Strategic realignment. Clarity needs fresh direction." "That's not a reason, that's a buzzword." Theodore's smile flickered. "The board has determined that your leadership style is no longer compatible with Nexus's operational framework. Is this termination for cause?" Chandra shifted uncomfortably. Theodore frowned. "It's a strategic decision, not disciplinary. So not for cause. I don't see why that distinction matters." I almost laughed. It matters very much, Theodore. You'll understand soon. I stood up. I assume you have severance paperwork. Sandra handed me a folder. Standard package, 6 months, NDA, general release. I took the folder without opening it. I'll have my lawyer review this. Of course, security will escort you to collect your personal items. I nodded. One more thing, Theodore. He raised an eyebrow. Enjoy the office. You won't have it long. I walked out before he could respond. Francesca had the paperwork ready within 48 hours. A formal notice of contract execution, Section 14, Clause 7 of the original acquisition agreement. 1 certified check for $1. They're going to fight this, she warned. Of course they are. They'll claim the clause is unenforceable, that it was buried in bad faith, that you misrepresented its implications. Can they win? Francesca shook her head. Their own lawyers reviewed the agreement. They signed it. They had 8 years to challenge it. They never did. So we have a case. We have more than a case. We have a contract. She sealed the envelope. Ready? I took a deep breath. Send it. The reaction was immediate. Raymond Burke, now retired but still a board member, called Francesca's office personally. This is extortion, blackmail, we'll bury her in litigation. Mr. Burke, your company signed a valid contract. My client is simply exercising her contractual rights. That clause was hidden. It was designed to deceive. It was reviewed by your legal team. They raised no objections. That's not deception. That's due diligence you failed to perform. Raymond sputtered. We paid $12 million for that company. You paid $12 million for shares and goodwill. The company itself, as clearly stated in Section 3, Paragraph 2, was transferred for a nominal fee of $1. My client is offering that exact amount. This will never hold up in court. Then take it to court, Mr. Burke. I welcome discovery. I'm sure your shareholders will be fascinated to learn how you terminated the founder who built your most profitable acquisition and triggered a clause that allows her to reclaim it for pocket change. The line went dead. Nexus's lawyers filed an emergency injunction within 72 hours. They claimed the clause was unconscionable, that it violated principles of fair dealing, that no reasonable party would agree to such terms. The judge disagreed. The clause is unusual, she acknowledged during the preliminary hearing, but it's not unprecedented, and it was negotiated between sophisticated parties with legal representation. Nexus had every opportunity to object or remove this provision. They chose not to. She looked at Theodore Vance, sitting in the gallery with barely concealed fury. Contracts have consequences. This is one of them. Injunction denied. The board met the next day. I wasn't there, but Francesca had sources. They're panicking, she reported. Half the board wants to settle, the other half wants to fight to the death. What's stopping them from settling? Theodore. He's convinced this is some kind of bluff, that you'll accept a buyout and walk away. I laughed. He doesn't know me at all. No, he doesn't. The final negotiation happened 2 weeks later. Nexus's entire legal team, their remaining board members, and Theodore Vance himself seated across a conference table from me and Francesca. Let's discuss terms, their lead counsel began. Nexus is prepared to offer a settlement, $20 million for you to release all claims under Clause 7. I didn't blink. No. Miss Ashford, $20 million is... I built Clarity from nothing. I watched you dismantle it for 3 years, and now you want to pay me to walk away? I leaned forward. I don't want money. I want my company back. Theodore finally spoke. That's not happening. Clarity is a Nexus asset. Clarity is my life's work, and according to the contract you signed, it's mine for $1. This is absurd. We'll appeal. We'll litigate for years. Go ahead. Every day you delay, your clients keep leaving, your revenue keeps declining, your shareholders keep losing value. How long can Nexus sustain that? Silence. The lead counsel whispered something to the board chairman. Finally, the chairman spoke. "What exactly are you proposing, Miss Ashford?" I slid a document across the table. "Full execution of Clause 7. I repurchase Clarity for $1. Nexus retains no ownership stake, no board seats, no operational involvement. And in exchange, I don't sue for wrongful termination, I don't go public with the full story of how Theodore's efficiency initiatives destroyed a thriving company, and I don't pursue damages for breach of fiduciary duty." Theodore's face was purple. "This is blackmail. This is negotiation. You have 48 hours. I stood up. "Gentlemen, it's been educational."
They accepted the next afternoon. Full execution of Clause 7. Clarity returned to my ownership for $1. I walked back into the building I'd been escorted out of 3 weeks earlier. The employees gathered in the main conference room. Many of them had been there since the early days. Others had joined under Nexus and never understood what they were missing. Kwame Thompson was standing in the front row. He was crying. "First order of business," I said. "Theodore Vance's initiatives are suspended, effective immediately." Cheers. "Second order, everyone who was laid off in the last 2 years will be offered their positions back, with back pay." More cheers. "Third order, we're going back to basics, customer service, quality, actually listening to our clients instead of chasing metrics." The loudest cheers yet. I looked around the room, my company. We built something special here. They tried to destroy it. They failed. I smiled. Welcome home. Clarity Software Solutions is thriving. Within 18 months of my return, we'd recovered everything Theodore's initiatives had destroyed. Client retention jumped back to 94%. Revenue growth resumed. By year 2, we'd expanded to 2,300 clients across 12 states. Annual revenue, $41 million. I took the company public last spring. The IPO valued Clarity at $312 million. Francesca Reyes now sits on my board. She still has a copy of Section 14, Clause 7 framed in her office. Kwame Thompson is my Chief Technology Officer. He finally got the authority to fix all those bugs Theodore's team had ignored. Dr. Patricia Okonkwo, my very first client, still uses Clarity. She calls me personally whenever she has a suggestion. I always answer. Theodore Vance was terminated by Nexus 6 months after the Clarity transfer. His efficiency initiatives had damaged 3 other portfolio companies, and the board finally realized the pattern. Last I heard, he was consulting, whatever that means for someone whose main skill was destroying what others built. Raymond Burke reached out once, about a year after everything settled. No hard feelings, I hope. It was just business. I didn't respond. Some bridges don't need rebuilding. I keep something from those dark years. My original termination letter. The one Theodore signed with such satisfaction. Position eliminated. Effective immediately. It's framed now, hanging in my office, right next to the certified check for $1, the one they never cashed. Not as a trophy, as a reminder. A reminder that contracts have power, that details matter, that the fine print can save your life, if you're smart enough to read it. Theodore Vance thought he was eliminating a problem. He didn't realize he was activating a solution. Sometimes people ask me what I would have done if Francesca hadn't suggested Clause 7. I don't know. Maybe I would have walked away, taken the severance, started something new, but I wouldn't have gotten justice. I wouldn't have reclaimed what was mine. And Clarity, the thing I built from nothing, the thing that helped thousands of doctors serve their patients better, would have been dismantled by someone who never understood its value. The clause wasn't luck, it was foresight. Francesca saw the danger before I did.
She planned for the worst while I was hoping for the best. That's the lesson. Hope isn't a strategy. Contracts are. If my story resonated with you, if you've ever been pushed out of something you built, or watched someone else destroy your work, drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. We share stories like this every week, real accounts of contract revenge, corporate karma, and founders who refused to stay down. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today, because somewhere out there, another founder is sitting in a termination meeting, watching her life's work slip away, and she needs to know. Check your contracts, know your rights, and never underestimate the power of one very well-placed clause. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.